Have you ever stopped to think why your life feels like a constant battle even when nothing is physically wrong? You wake up, you check your phone, notifications, messages, deadlines, and before your feet even touch the ground, your mind is already under attack. Anxiety, pressure, comparison. The truth is, most people are not living. They are reacting. Reacting to stress, reacting to fear, reacting to a world that never stops pulling their attention away. And slowly, without even realizing it, they lose control. But here's the part no one tells you. The problem was never your life. It was your mind. And you are not alone in this. Right now, millions of people are trapped in the same invisible loop, scrolling endlessly, delaying what matters, drowning in dopamine. A study from Harvard suggests that the human mind spends nearly 47% of its time wandering, lost in thoughts that often lead to stress and dissatisfaction. Not because life is hard, but because the mind is undisciplined. And in a world designed to distract you, an undisciplined mind becomes your greatest weakness. But centuries ago, long before smartphones, before modern stress, before this endless noise, there was a man who faced chaos every single day. War, death, uncertainty. His name was Miyamoto Musashi, a samurai who fought over 60 duels and never lost. But his true victory was not over others, it was over himself. While others trained their swords, he trained his mind. While others reacted, he remained still. And what he discovered is now being confirmed by modern neuroscience. Researchers at Stanford have found that mental resilience can literally reshape the brain, strengthening areas responsible for focus, emotional control, and decision-making under pressure. In other words, calm is not personality, it is training. Discipline is not talent, it is a system. And today, we are going to break that system down. Not as theory, but as something you can apply immediately. Because in this video, I'm going to tell you a story. Not just about a legendary warrior, but about someone just like you. Lucas, 27 years old, living in a modern city, constantly busy, yet always behind. Driven, but exhausted, and trapped in a cycle he doesn't understand. But something changed, and once it did, he never saw his life the same way again. Welcome to this channel, where we build a community around timeless wisdom and mental discipline. If you want to take control of your mind, not someday but starting today, make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell. And more importantly, comment below, what battle are you fighting right now? Because after this video, you will never look at your struggles the same way again. I will show you exactly how this system works and how you can begin today. Chapter 1. The Man Who Was Quietly Falling Apart. In today's video, I'm going to tell you the story of someone who looked completely normal from the outside, but inside, he was losing control. His name is Lucas. He's 27 years old. He lives in Chicago, and on paper, his life should be fine. Stable job, decent income, a future that looks predictable. He works as a product manager in a fast-paced tech company. Deadlines, meetings, constant pressure. Every day feels like a race he never signed up for. But the real problem was never his job. It was what happened the moment he woke up. Every morning, before even getting out of bed, Lucas reached for his phone. Notifications, emails, social media. Within seconds, his brain was flooded. Comparison, stress, noise. And just like that, his day was no longer his. It belonged to everything around him. He told himself he would change, wake up earlier, exercise, focus. But every night, he failed again. Scrolling, delaying, escaping. An endless cycle, the kind that doesn't look dangerous, but slowly destroys you. This is what silent exhaustion looks like. Not dramatic, not visible, but constant. You see, Lucas wasn't lazy. He wasn't weak. He was stuck. Stuck in a loop where his actions didn't match his intentions, where he wanted more, but couldn't move. And the worst part, he started believing this was just who he was. Undisciplined, distracted, average. But here's the truth. The problem was never his lack of motivation. It was the absence of a system. No structure, no control, no mental framework. So every time life pushed, he broke. And life always pushes. Deadlines got tighter, expectations got higher, his energy got lower, until one day he sat at his desk, staring at his screen, unable to focus for more than a few minutes. Not because the task was hard, but because his mind couldn't stay still. And that's when it hit him. Something was wrong, not with the world, but with him. Or at least, that's what he thought, because what Lucas didn't know yet was that he wasn't broken. He was untrained, and everything was about to change. Chapter 2. The Collapse. Lucas didn't break all at once. It happened slowly, quietly, day by day, decision by decision. He started waking up tired, not physically, mentally. No matter how much he slept, it was never enough, because his mind never stopped running. At work he stared at his screen for hours, switching tabs, checking messages, starting tasks, but never finishing them. He called it being busy, but deep down, he knew the truth. He was avoiding discomfort, avoiding focus, avoiding responsibility. And the more he avoided, the heavier everything became. Deadlines piled up. Simple tasks felt overwhelming. Even small decisions started to drain him. This is what decision fatigue looks like. Not dramatic, but paralyzing. Outside of work, it wasn't better. He told himself he'd go to the gym. He didn't. He said he'd start that project. He didn't. Instead, he scrolled. Hours disappeared into nothing. Short videos, endless content, cheap dopamine, temporary relief, long-term damage, and every night the same conversation played in his head. Tomorrow will be different. But it never was, because the system never changed. And then came the moment he couldn't ignore anymore. One morning, he sat in a meeting. Important. High stakes. People were talking. Expectations were clear. And Lucas couldn't concentrate. His mind drifted. His chest felt tight. His thoughts scattered. He wasn't present. He wasn't sharp. He wasn't in control. And for the first time, he felt it clearly. Fear. Not fear of failure, but fear of becoming someone who never reaches his potential. Someone who watches life pass, without ever stepping into it. That's when the illusion broke. This wasn't just a bad phase. This was a pattern, a loop. And if nothing changed, this would be his life. Forever. Chapter 3. The Encounter. And then, something changed. Not dramatically, not overnight, but enough to break the pattern. It happened on a random evening. Lucas was sitting alone in his apartment, laptop open, but untouched, phone in his hand. Again, scrolling, escaping, numb, until his eyes landed on something different. Not another short video, not entertainment. A quote, simple, cold, direct. Today is victory over yourself of yesterday. He paused. For the first time, in a long time, he didn't scroll past. He clicked. And that's when he found it. An old text, centuries old, written by a man who lived in chaos, yet mastered himself completely. Miyamoto Musashi. At first it didn't make sense. No flashy advice. No motivation. No comfort. Just principles. Sharp. Unforgiving. Real. Lucas kept reading, and something felt different. There was no promise of easy success. No shortcuts. Only one message repeated in different forms. Discipline. Awareness. Control. This wasn't about feeling better. It was about becoming stronger. And for the first time, Lucas realized something uncomfortable. He had been looking for motivation, when what he needed was structure, a system, a way to operate, regardless of how he felt. That night, he didn't change his life. He didn't wake up transformed, but something inside him shifted. A question replaced his old excuses. What if the problem isn't my situation? What if it's the way I respond to it? And that question was the beginning. Because Musashi didn't just teach how to win battles, he taught how to eliminate hesitation, how to act without internal conflict, how to become unshakable. Lucas didn't fully understand it yet, but he could feel it. This wasn't information. This was a different way of thinking, a different identity, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. That night, for the first time in years, Lucas didn't scroll before sleep. He sat in silence, thinking, not about what he wanted, but about who he needed to become. And that changed everything. Chapter 4. The First Principle Kaizen. But here's where most people get it wrong. They read something powerful, they feel inspired, and then they try to change everything at once. Lucas almost did the same. Wake up at 5 a.m., work out every day, no distractions, perfect discipline. It lasted 2 days. Then he crashed. Hard. Because the truth is, radical change feels exciting, but it is not sustainable. And that's when he discovered the first principle. Kaizen. Small steps. Relentless consistency. At first, it sounded too simple, too slow, almost insignificant. But that was exactly the point. Kaizen doesn't rely on motivation. It bypasses resistance. Instead of fighting your mind, you outsmart it. So Lucas didn't try to fix his entire life. He started with one thing, just one. No phone. For the first 10 minutes after waking up. That's it. No massive routine. No pressure. Just one small act of control. Day 1, he succeeded. Day 2, he wanted to quit. But it was small enough to continue. That's the power. Not intensity, but repeatability. And something strange started happening. That one small action created awareness. Awareness created control. And control created momentum. This is how the brain changes. Not through force, but through repetition. Neuroscience calls it neuroplasticity. Each small action reinforces a new identity. Not I'm trying to be disciplined, but I am someone who follows through. And that shift changes everything. Because Kaizen is not about improvement, it's about identity. You don't leap into a new life, you build it, quietly, daily, without drama. While everyone else is waiting for motivation, you are already moving. Lucas didn't feel powerful yet. He didn't feel unstoppable, but for the first time, he wasn't stuck. He was progressing, slowly, but undeniably. And that's how real transformation begins. Not with a breakthrough, but with a decision. So small, your old self doesn't even resist it. Chapter 5. The Relapse. But here's the part no one talks about. Progress is not clean. It doesn't move in a straight line. And Lucas learned that the hard way. The first few days felt different, controlled, intentional, sharp. No phone in the morning, more focus at work, a sense of direction. For the first time in months, he felt like he was winning. But then, it happened. One bad night. Stress from work, a missed deadline, that familiar pressure creeping back in. He told himself, just 5 minutes, just one scroll, just a small break. But 5 minutes turned into an hour, then 2. Then the old pattern came rushing back. Late sleep, heavy mind, zero control the next morning. And just like that, he was back where he started. Or at least, that's what it felt like. This is where most people quit. They see one failure and call it proof. Nothing changed. I'm still the same. What's the point? And they fall deeper than before, because now they've lost belief. Lucas felt it too. The frustration, the disappointment, that quiet voice saying, you can't do this. But this time, something was different. He didn't panic. He didn't spiral. He stopped and remembered. Kaizen. Small steps. Not perfection. Not intensity. Consistency. So instead of trying to fix everything again, he went back to one action. Just one. No phone in the morning. That's it. No guilt. No overthinking. Just execution. And he did it. Again. Then again. Then again. This is the moment most people miss. The relapse is part of the system, not the failure of it, because discipline is not built by never falling. It is built by returning, faster, stronger, without drama. Every time Lucas came back, he reinforced something deeper, not just a habit, but an identity. I don't quit. Even when I slip, even when I fail, I return. That's the difference. Amateurs chase perfection. Professionals master recovery. And slowly, something started to solidify. His reactions changed. His awareness sharpened. His control deepened. Not because he was flawless, but because he became consistent in coming back. And that is where real strength is built. Chapter 6. The science behind the shift. But this isn't just philosophy. This isn't just mindset. This is biology. Every time Lucas reached for his phone, that wasn't weakness. That was his amygdala. The part of the brain wired for survival. It seeks comfort, avoids discomfort, craves immediate relief. Scrolling isn't random. It's regulation. Cheap, fast, addictive. But there's another part of the brain, quieter, slower, stronger. The prefrontal cortex. This is where discipline lives. Decision-making, focus, long-term thinking. The problem, most people never train it. So under pressure, the amygdala takes over. Impulse wins, every time. But here's where everything changes. When Lucas repeated that small action, no phone in the morning, he wasn't just building a habit, he was rewiring his brain. This is called neuroplasticity. The brain adapts based on what you repeat. Every time he resisted the impulse, the prefrontal cortex strengthened. Every time he gave in, the old pathway deepened. This is the real battle, not you versus the world, but one part of your brain against another. And discipline is simply choosing which one wins, more often, over time, because the brain doesn't care about your goals. It follows your patterns, and once the pattern changes, everything changes. Thank you for watching until the very end. Not because you had time, but because something inside you is looking for change. Now, look back, not at the story, not at Musashi, but at yourself. The truth is, the problem was never that life is too hard. It's that you never had a system strong enough to face it. Now you do. Discipline is not emotion. It is structure. Strength does not come from motivation. It comes from repetition. You don't become powerful in big moments. You become powerful in small actions, repeated daily, unseen. You've learned this. The way is in training. Not when you feel like it, but when you do it anyway. Every choice has a cost. It either builds you or breaks you. Awareness is a weapon. Weak people see the surface. Strong people see patterns. And adaptability is what makes you unbreakable. But this is where most people stop. They understand, they nod, and then they do nothing. Don't be that person. Don't turn everything you just learned into another motivational video, forgotten in 10 minutes. Turn it into action, starting today. A challenge, 14 days. Not perfect, not complicated, but non-negotiable. Every morning, before you touch your phone, write down one thing you will conquer. One fear, one delay, one thing you've been avoiding. Then do it. No thinking, no delay, no negotiation. And every night, sit down. Ask yourself, did I act like the person I want to become today, or did I fall back into who I used to be? Repeat, every day. 14 days. Something will change. Not loud, not dramatic, but deep, very deep. A different version of you will begin to form. The question is, do you have the courage to meet that version? Or will you go back to comfort, like every other time? Don't wait until you feel ready. Don't wait for motivation. Start today, because you don't fail when you feel weak. You fail when you stop. Thank you for watching until the end. If you are serious, comment below. 14 days. I start today, not for me, for you. And if you're ready to go further, keep going. Because this path is not for everyone. Be present, walk with honor, and follow the path.